analysis that has earlier been the dominant note, and the essence of the story is there is no difference between the living and the dead, or as we say in parts of Ireland, the divil a difference between the living and the dead.
Mr. Conroy, Miss Kate and Miss Judy, I thought you were never coming. Good night, Mrs. Conroy.
I'll engage they did, but they forget that my wife there takes 3 mortal hours to dress herself.
Miss Kate, here's Mr. and Mrs. Conroy.
You must be perished alive. Greta, Kate. Is Gabriel with you?
Here I am, as right as the mainland, Kate.
Is it snowing again, Mr. Conroy?
Yes, Lily, and I think we're in for a night of it. Tell me, Lily, do you still go to school?
Oh no, sir, I'm done schooling this year and more.
Oh, then I suppose we'll be going to your wedding one of these fine days with your young man, eh?
The man that is now is only all palaver and one they can get out again.
Lily, it's Christmas time, isn't it? Here's a
Oh,
minute, just
no, sir, really, sir, I wouldn't take it.
Christmas time, Christmas time.
Well, thank you, sir.
Gabriel. Greta tells me you're not going to take the cab to Monkstown tonight, Gabriel.
Oh no, we had quite enough of that last year, hadn't we? Cab windows rattling all the way, and the east wind blowing in after we reached Merriam. Very jolly it was. Greta caught a dreadful cold.
Oh, quite right, Gabriel, quite right. You can't be too careful.
But as for Greta there, sure she'd walk home in the snow if she was left.
Don't mind him, Aunt Kate. You know, sometimes he can be an awful bother of a man. I mean, you won't believe what he has me wearing nowadays. Galoshes. That's the latest. Whenever it's wet underfoot, I must put on my galoshes. Even this evening he wanted me to wear them, but I refused. Next thing he'll be buying me will be a diving suit.
What are galoshes, Gabriel? Galoshes, Julia. Goodness me, don't you know what they are? They're for wearing over your boots, Greta, isn't it?
Yes, oh, we both have a pair. Gabriel says that everyone is wearing them on the continent.
Oh, on the continent.
Look, it's not very wonderful, but Greta here thinks it's very funny.
Oh, but tell me, Gabriel, of course you've seen about the room. Greta was saying.
Oh, the room is all right. I've taken one into Greta.
Oh, to be sure, by far the best thing to do. And the children, Greta, you're not anxious about them?
Oh, it's only for one night, and besides, Bessie will look after them.
Oh, to be sure. What a great comfort it is to have a girl like that. One you can depend on.
Miss Kate, here's Miss Furlong, Mr. Brown, and Miss Power.
Miss Furlong has lovely received. Come on in, Miss Power. So good of you to come. Come on in, Mr. Brown. Come on. Here's Freddie. Oh, slip out, Gabriel, like a good fellow, and see if he's all right. And don't let him in if he's screwed. I'm sure he's screwed. I'm sure he is. Oh, it's such a relief when Gabriel is here. I always feel much easier in my mind when he's here. Oh, Julia, Mr. Brown, Miss Furlong, and Miss Power will take some refreshment.
Oh, I'm a man for the ladies. You know, Miss Markham, they're all very fond of me. Oh, God help me. It's the doctor's orders.
Oh, now, Mr. Brown, I'm sure the doctor never ordered anything of the kind.
Well, I'm like the famous Mrs. Cassidy, who's reported to have said, Mary Grimes, if I don't take it, make me take it, for I feel I want it.
Oh, Miss Power, why won't you put us all in the mood with one of your beautiful songs?
Oh, yes, Miss.
Oh, Mary, this
sing for you later on. All Dublin is raving about him.
Mr. Darcy.
Here's Freddie, Kate, and Gabriel is with him. Good evening, Freddie.
Good evening, Julian.
Freddie?
Good evening, Dave.
He's not too bad, is he, Gabriel?
Oh, no, it's hardly noticeable.
Sure, he's a terrible fellow. His poor mother made him take the pledge on New Year's Eve.
Come on now, Teddy, and I'll fix you up with a good glass of lemonade. Just to hook you up.
Well, come now, everybody. Take your partners for Lanford.
Mr. Innocent, I have found out that you write for the Daily Express. Now, aren't you ashamed of yourself?
Why should I be ashamed of myself?
Well, I'm ashamed of you to think that you'd write for a paper like that. I didn't think you were a West Briton. Oh, Mr. Conroy, will you come for an excursion to the Aran Islands this summer? We're going to stay there a whole month. It'll be splendid out there in the Atlantic. You ought to come. Mr. Clancy is coming, and Kathleen Kearney. It'll be splendid for Greta too if she'd come. She's from Connacht, isn't she?
Well, her people are.
But you will come, won't you?
Well, the fact is, I've just arranged to go. Well, you know, every year I go on a cycling tour with some fellows, and so we have...
Where?
Well, we usually go to France or Belgium or perhaps Germany.
And why do you go to France and Belgium instead of visiting your own land?
Well, it's partly to keep in touch with the languages and partly for a change.
And haven't you your own language to keep in contact with? Irish?
Well, when it comes to that, Irish is not my language.
And haven't you your own land to visit that you know nothing of? Your own people and your own
Well,
country?
to tell you the truth, I'm just sick of my own country. Sick of it.
But why? Oh, of course you've no answer. West Britain!
What row had you with Molly Irish?
What? No, Rob, why? Did she say so?
I was just wondering. You know, I've been hoping that Mr. Darcy would sing all night, but I'd say he's full of conceit.
Look, there was no row, only she wanted me to go on a trip to the west of Ireland, and I said I wouldn't.
Oh, Gabriel, please, do go. go away again.
Well, you can go if you wish.
Oh. Isn't that a fine husband for you?
Now, how about a song from Miss Julia?
Oh, yes.
Arrayed for the bridal. Arrayed for the bridal, in beauty behold her, a white wreath that twineth, a forehead so fair, and be the zephyrs that softly and play with the locks of her beautiful hair. Oh.
Never. I never heard your voice so good as it is tonight. Never. Never to believe that. That's the truth. That's what my word of honor. That's the truth. I never heard your voice so clear and fresh and clear. Never.
My latest discovery, Miss Julia Markham.
Well now, Brown, if you were serious, you might make a worse discovery. All I can say is, I never heard her sing half so well as long as I'm coming here, and that's the honest truth.
And neither did I. I think her voice has greatly improved.
30 years ago, I hadn't a bad voice, as voices go. I often told Julia she was simply thrown away in that choir, but she never would be said by me. No, she never would be said or led by anyone. Slaving away, night and day, 6 o'clock on Christmas morning, and all for what?
Well, isn't it for the honour of God, Aunt Kate?
Oh, I know all about the honour of God, Mary Jane. But I think it's not at all honourable for the Pope to put out the women out of the choirs who've been slaving there all their lives and put in little whippersnappers of boys over their heads. Oh, I suppose it's for the good of the church if the Pope does it. But it's not just, Mary Jane, and it's not right.
Now, Aunt Kate, you're giving scandal to Mr. Brown, who's of the other persuasion.
Oh, I don't question the Pope's being right. I'm only a stupid old woman, and I wouldn't presume to do that. But there is such a thing as common everyday politeness and gratitude, and if I were in Julia's place, I'd tell that Father Healy straight up to his face.
Besides, Aunt Kate, we really are all hungry, and when we're hungry, we're very quarrelsome.
And when we're thirsty, we're very
I'm leaving now.
Oh, besides,
I don't feel in the least bit hungry, and I've already overstayed my time.
Molly, it's only 10 minutes. I won't delay you.
I need to take a pick itself after all your dancing. Oh, I'm afraid you didn't enjoy yourself at all. Ever so much, I assure you. But you really must let me run off now.
If you will allow me, Miss Ivers, I shall see you home if you're really obliged to go.
I won't hear of it. And for goodness sake, I'm quite well capable of taking care of myself.
Oh, aren't you a comical girl, Molly?
Bonnet live.
oh, where's Gabriel? Where on earth is Gabriel?
Here I am.
Oh.
There was an Negro chieftain singing in the second part of the Gaelic pantomime this year. He had one of the finest tenor voices I ever heard. Have you heard of Mr. Darcy?
No.
Now, because I'd be curious now to hear your opinion of him. I think he had a grand voice.
It takes Teddy here to find the really good things.
And why couldn't he have a voice too? Is it because he's only a black? And would you stop calling me Teddy? My name is Freddie.
I presume they're just as good as singers today as they were in the grand old operas. And where are they? London, Paris, Milan. I suppose Crusoe, for example, is quite as good, if not better than any of them.
Oh, for me there was only ever one tenor, but I suppose none of you have ever heard of him.
Who was he, Miss Moore?
His name was Parkinson. I heard him when he was in his prime, and I think then he had the purest tenor voice that was ever put into a man's throat.
That's strange, I've never heard of him. Oh, Miss Markham is right. I remember reading about Parkinson, though he's too far back for me.
A beautiful, pure, sweet English tenor.
I'd like to invite you all out to a nice port or a sherry even.
Oh, lovely.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has fallen to my lot this evening, as in years past, to perform a very pleasing task, but a task for which I'm afraid my poor powers as a speaker are far too inadequate. However that may be, I can only ask you tonight to take the will for the deed, and to lend me your attention for a few moments, while I endeavour to express to you in words what my feelings are on this occasion. It is not the first time that we have gathered here under this hospitable roof. It's not the first time that we have been recipients, or perhaps I had better say, the victims of hospitality of certain good ladies. But as long as this one roof shelters the good ladies aforesaid, and I wish from my heart that it may do so for many and many a long years to come, then the tradition of genuine, warm-hearted, courteous Irish hospitality, which our forefathers have handed down to us, is still alive among us. Ladies and gentlemen, a new generation is growing up in our midst, a generation that's actuated by new ideas and new principles. But I fear that this new generation, educated or hyper-educated as it is, will lack those qualities of humanity, of hospitality, of kindly humour that belong to an older day. But yet, there are always in gatherings such as this, sadder thoughts that recur to our minds. Thoughts of the past, of changes, of youth, of absent faces we miss here tonight. But were we to brood upon them, then we could not have the heart to go on bravely with our work among the living. So here we are, gathered together for a brief moment from the hustle and rush of our everyday routine. We are met here as friends, in the true spirit of camaraderie, and the guests of, now, what shall I call them? The three graces of the Dublin music. Now, I will not attempt to choose between them. That task is an invidious one, and one beyond my poor powers. For when I view them in turn, whether it be the chief hostess herself, whose good heart, whose too good heart has become a byword with all who know her, or her sister, who seems to be gifted with perennial youth, and whose singing must have been a surprise and a revelation to us all tonight, or the youngest hostess, talented, cheerful, hard-working, the best of nieces. Well, I confess, ladies and gentlemen, I do not know to which of them I should award the prize. So, let us toast them all three together. Let us drink to their health, wealth, long life, happiness and prosperity. And may they long continue to hold the proud and self-won tradition of honour and affection which they hold in our hearts.
Or
They are jolly gay fellows, for they are jolly gay fellows, for they are jolly gay fellows, which nobody can deny, unless they tell
Ready? Good night. Somebody close the door. Oh no, Aunt Kate, Brian's out there.
Oh, Brown is everywhere.
He's very attentive.
Oh, he's been laid on here like the gas all over the Christmas. We'll go out there, Jane, and tell him to close the door.
Bertha's not out yet. Who's playing there?
Oh, nobody, they're all gone.
Oh no, Aunt Kate. Bartel Darcy isn't gone yet.
Oh, I see.
Ooh, it makes me cold to look at you two gentlemen muffled up like that. I wouldn't like to face your long journey home at this hour.
Well, I'd like nothing better this minute than a rattling good walk in the countryside, or a fast drive with a good spanking gore between the shafts.
We used to have a very good horse and trap at home.
They're never to be forgotten, Johnny.
Oh, yes.
Why, what was wonderful about Johnny?
Well, the late lamented Patrick Morgan, our grandfather that is, commonly known in later years as the old gentleman, was a glue boy.
Oh, now, Gabriel, he had a starch mill. The Lord have mercy on his soul.
Well, glue or starch, his horse named Johnny used to work in the old gentleman's mill, and he'd be going round and round and round in order to drive the mill.
So that was the wonderful Johnny. Well, good night to you ladies, and thank you for your hospitality.
Good night, Mr. Brown.
If you be the last offering which I'm taking you mean to be, tell me the first token which passed between you and me. Oh, don't you remember that night on your leaving, when we first met together, which I'm sorry now to tell. Oh, the rain falls on my heavy locks, and the dew wets my skin. My babe lies cold within my arms, but none will let me. My babe lies cold within my arms, but none will let me.
That was downright mean of you to stop like that when we were all in raptures listening to you.
Mr. Darcy, what was the name of that song you were singing?
It's called The Lass of Ockram. Why do you know it?
The Lass of Ockram. I'd forgotten the name.
Oh, it's a very nice air.
Well, good night, Aunt Kate, and thanks for the pleasant evening.
Good night, Brett.
Good night to you.
Mr. Doris. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Darcy. Good everything to come.